Hey, welcome. So today we're going to talk about something really powerful, the story of your life. That inner narrative that kind of guides your decisions, shapes how you see everything, and, well, writes your future. But here's the big question. Are you actually the one holding the pen? Let's dive in and see how you can become the true author of your own story.
So let's kick things off with this core idea of a life script. It's such a great metaphor, right? Because it forces you to ask, who's really in charge here? Are we making our own choices day in and day out, or are we just following a part that was written for us a long, long time ago?
Okay, let's just get right to it with a very direct question. Take a second and really think about it. Do you like the story that's unfolding in your life right now? Are you happy with it? If the answer is anything less than a huge, resounding yes, well, then you are definitely in the right place.
Does this feel at all familiar to you? That weird sense of déjà vu, where you somehow end up in the same kind of relationship, or face the same issue at work, or have the exact same argument again and again. It's not bad luck, it's not karma, it's your script playing out on a loop.
So what exactly is this life script we're talking about? Well, think of it as a subconscious life plan. It's basically a whole set of beliefs and decisions we made when we were kids that now, without us even realizing it, guides our path as adults. It's like the invisible blueprint for our entire life story.
Right, so if we want to change the script, we first have to understand what keeps it running, what keeps us stuck. Let's take a look at some of these really powerful mental traps that make it so tough to break free.
The first trap is a big one. It's called the sunk cost fallacy. And this is our totally irrational need to stick with something just because we've already poured time or money or effort into it. We just hate that feeling of waste, so we keep going down a path that isn't working, hoping it'll all be worth it in the end. A perfect real-world example of this is the Concorde jet. It was an amazing piece of technology, but financially, a total disaster. And yet, for 27 years, people just kept pouring billions into it. Why? Because they'd already invested so much. They're just throwing good money after bad. We do this exact same thing in our own lives. Think about it. Staying in a job you hate because you spent years getting the degree, or staying in a relationship that's failing just because you've already put in so many years. The past investment, not the future potential, ends up making the decision for us.
Now, the next trap is, well, it's even more personal. This isn't about one project or one decision. This is about how you see yourself and your own potential. This is the trap of having a fixed mindset.
Aristotle absolutely nailed this centuries ago. Our mindset isn't just some random thought. It's a habit of thinking that shapes everything we do and, ultimately, who we become. This is basically the engine room of your life script. And that brings us to this really fundamental choice we all have to make. A choice between two totally opposite ways of thinking. The one we pick can literally define everything that happens next. Understanding this choice is the absolute key to rewriting your script. So, at its heart, the difference is actually pretty simple, but it has huge consequences. A fixed mindset assumes that your intelligence, your talents, your personality, they're all just carved in stone. You get what you get, and that's that. A growth mindset, on the other hand, is built on the belief that our basic qualities are things we can actually grow and develop through our own efforts.
Let's dig into what it's like to live in a fixed mindset. If you believe your abilities are fixed, then you're going to feel this constant pressure to prove yourself, to prove you're smart, prove you're talented. Every single situation becomes a test. And failure? Oh, failure isn't just an outcome. It feels like a final judgment on you. And effort? Effort is seen as a bad thing. It means you weren't born with the talent. Now, let's flip that completely. In a growth mindset, challenges aren't things to be afraid of. They're exciting chances to learn something new. And failure, yeah, it still stings, but it's not a label. It's just information. It's a clue for what to try next, a stepping stone. And effort? Effort isn't a sign of weakness.
It's the actual path you take to get better, to master something. And this really gets to the heart of how each mindset looks at potential. A fixed mindset thinks of it as something you either have or you don't. But a growth mindset, it sees potential as just the starting point. It's your capacity to develop skills over time with hard work. It's not a number, it's a possibility for growth.
And get this, for a real-world example. When NASA was picking astronauts, they didn't just look for people who had perfect, flawless records. Nope, they actually went out and looked for candidates who had faced huge failures in their past and recovered from them. They knew that in a place like space, you can't avoid mistakes. What matters is how you respond to them. They were looking for resilience, which is the absolute hallmark of a growth mindset.
Okay, so we've identified the script, we've looked at the mental traps that keep us stuck. Now for the most important part. How do we actually change it? How do we take the pen back and start writing a brand new story for ourselves?
It all starts inside, with that little voice in your head. You know the one. For people with a fixed mindset, that voice is constantly judging. Am I smart enough for this? See? This proves I'm a failure. The whole game is to shift that voice from one of judgment to one that's focused on growth. Okay, what can I learn from this? How can I get better next time?
So here's a practical 4-step way to think about this. First, you've got to recognize your current script. Become an observer of your own life. What are the plot lines that keep popping up? Maybe it's the "I'm not good enough for that job" script, or the "I always end up with the wrong person" script. Just notice them. Step 2 is to see the triggers. What kicks off the old script? Is it a piece of criticism, a certain feeling? You want to see the cause and effect. Then, step 3, consciously replace the pattern. This is where you have the power. When that trigger happens, instead of going on autopilot, you intentionally choose a new reaction, one based on growth. So if the trigger is a failed project, the old script screams, "I'm a failure." The new script says, "This is hard, but what did I learn?" And finally, number 4, reinforce the new behavior. Every single time you choose that new response, you celebrate it. You're literally building a new path in your brain. It's not about being perfect. It's just about practicing over and over until the new response becomes the new you.
I mean, this famous quote from Thomas Edison is basically the anthem for the growth mindset, isn't it? It's a reminder that amazing achievements aren't just born from some fixed magical talent. They are forged through effort, through trying and failing, through all that 99% perspiration.
And this really brings us to the big finish. Understanding your script and your mindset, it's not just some interesting idea. It's about realizing that you have genuine power over your own story.
So if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this: your past is not your future. Those old patterns, those fixed mindsets, that's not who you are. They're just habits. And the amazing thing about habits is you have the power to change them, starting right now.
I want to leave you with this incredible thought. Look, you can't go back and change the chapters of your life that have already been written. That's true. But the pen is in your hand right this second. The rest of the book is completely blank, and you get to decide what the new ending is going to be.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. If today is page 1 of your new story, what is the very first line you're going to write?